Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be doing my round 18 team review, going through how a lot of my players actually did alright to start, and then it was a failure of a Sunday, to be honest. I don't remember exactly who played on the Sunday. Let me just quickly bring it up. We had the West Coast Richmond. It was a failure of the Saturday night and Sunday games. Geelong, Essendon, Adelaide, GWS, North Hawks, West Coast versus Richmond. I had only, I think, two guys go tons in that whole set of six teams. So, yeah, just a really bad Saturday night and Sunday. I ended up still going up by 400 odd ranks, I think it was. Let me just check. 433 ranks, right? 433, is it? Yeah, 433 rank rise, and a round rank of 3,134, and a round score of 2362. So I still did really well, but it could have been more. It could have been a top 2 or 1k round, and that would have bolted me up to around about that 2k. But my forwards let me down again, and and then my backline let me down again. But anyway, so be it. I think I made the right choices in the long term. It just failed for this round with Sicily, but at least Steele made the ton to help it out. But we'll get into the video now. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on. I'm hoping that we have some more interesting content come to the channel in the near future, if I can get my recording schedule better. And then, so now let's get into the video. So as you can see here, like I was saying, 2362. Team value 22.42, and now if I quickly check this, hopefully I don't spoil anything. Basically gained around 300 or so K from that round, which is really good. Or 140K. I don't know whether that takes into account the cash that I had in the bank, but it should do. But I don't know exactly whether, because I actually had 162K and now I have 70K, did it say basically there? 69K. So whether I actually still gained around about 200 or so K, but still 200K gained is really good. But now let's go through the team. Jordan Dawson did his thing again, a 7-7, his non-disposal points. Like I've been saying, basically since I got him after, I think, did I get him when did I get him? Let me see, when did I get him? Not round 14, round 15 I got him, yes. I got him for the 172, which was just ridiculous timing, as he's ungettable now. He's absolute ungettable now for people that don't have him, and I'm just glad I got him as a 60% owned. His non-disposal points are ridiculous, and he had 2 behinds as well. Imagine if he kicked 2 goals here, that would have ended up a 130, and I think he might end up being the top scoring player for the whole year, 119.6, and he's 2.7 behind. I think he can catch that up. And then you have Nick Dacos here, who's been ridiculous as well. I grabbed him early and I kept him, and I'm disappointed I didn't start with him, as could have got those scores early, but decided to go with Andy McGrath, and that was a failure. But just Nick Dacos doing what Nick Dacos does best, and he's looked even better going into the midfield, to be honest, as not only does he have, when he's down back, he might get those extra 2 or 3 disposals, but the lack of being able to tackle really does limit his, I say limit, but I mean in the sense that he has basically a trade-off here of around 3 or 4 disposals for around 4 or 5 tackles, which is just the reason why he's putting up such bigger numbers in the midfield here, is because the tackling is so well, valued in AFL Fantasy, that for him to go into the midfield and get those tackling numbers whilst also not really losing the marking ability. Yes, he lost a little bit of the marking ability, but he's gained a lot more in tackling that even does the drop in 3 or 4 disposals, I'd say. Even that is dubious at best. So the addition of 3 or 4 tackles at least, compared to a drop of maybe 2 or 3 marks, is just ridiculous in output, to be honest. Then we have Sicily here, and he played as a second tour. Some people are saying he had a bad or like they knew because he was a second tall that he wasn't going to play well, etc. I just think North decided to tag him. It was a stupid decision by them to tag him, honestly. And he'll play better next week because the ball was just not down there and they only scored 4 behind. Whereas Richmond are going to tear Hawthorn a new one and probably kick, I'd say, at least double-digit behinds. And that's going to mean that he's going to get 8 or so disposals just off kicks. Kick-ins, probably closer to 10 because he'll get the first kick out because they won't be tagging him probably off the... Richmond, I don't think from memory close that pocket down as much. So I reckon he gets that pocket pass as well, and he gets +6 there easy if he's not on the kickouts. But from what I've seen, he's on pretty much all the kickouts now with that 90, with that high percentage on ground. So time on ground. So I think he's still going to be good for next week. But disappointing, obviously, to get tagged. But we move. Then we have Doherty, and he just couldn't get going, but I'm not too worried because he's so highly owned, and there isn't really another defender I'm liking the look of completely. I mean, you have Wangadeen Malira, who is alright, but I just don't 100% trust him compared to Doherty. Ryan, I think, is a little bit inconsistent, so I don't trust him. He's gone middle score, huge score, middle score, huge score, and an alright score. And then Duggan as well, I don't trust with the people coming back. I think his role can change massively, and I don't trust players this late in the season with a role change, especially because a role change caused that big scoring hike. I don't think he goes back to those 110s that he was scoring again, but I could be wrong. And Duncan's an injury concern, and I don't trust either of the North Melbourne guys because Scott, I'm not too sure about his position, but at least Sheasel-Firth can get tagged out of a game. And I mean, they have St Kilda, so Windhager's just going to go to Sheasel the whole game, to be honest, and just stop that. Stop Sheasel down. Then we move on to Sinclair, and he had a down game, but he's got North next week, Hawthorn, Carlton, Richmond. He has a good run of 4 games where he should be able to score well, so I'm not too worried. And an 86 as a bad score isn't too bad. I know I have talked a lot of bad stuff about Sinclair, but in the end, he's been a really good purchase for me. 100, 130, 101, 110. So yeah, I'm just really happy to have brought him in, and he's pretty much averaging a ton. Then you have Stewart, 79, and this just sucked, to be honest. They just didn't get the ball down back. And yeah, he just didn't get those disposals, but I'm sure he'll bounce back against Brisbane in a really tough match. And I'm sure he'll get a lot of touches just from the ball being down there a little bit more because the Bombers honestly sucked. And then you've got Chesser here, 37, just hoping he makes some more cash, to be honest. I just don't see with the way West Coast are playing how he can get those huge scores. But we'll have to wait and see. I mean, he's going to come into next year probably around this same 360 odd K. So I don't think he'll be an option next year either, as I just think he's going to be that mid like that winger that doesn't really get much of the ball because that's the way that West Coast play, but hopefully he gets a run in that midfield, as I really liked that midfield game where I think he had, was it this 50 or was it this 61, where he had a lot of midfield time in one of those games and he actually really performed. So I actually like the look of Chesser in their midfield, so hopefully they do that next year, but we'll have to wait and see. And then Mullen, a 5, he just came on and just ruined his cash gen, but I don't really, he's just going to be sitting here honestly for the rest of the year. I don't see much being able to be used out of him. Bont 142, he was ridiculous. Yet again, Swans don't. That's the thing with the Swans. Who do they play next? Give me a Swans player. Gordon. They play Freo next. So I actually think if Johnson's in the midfield, he could do well because they really do struggle with a tall midfielder. Essendon, if Setterfield's back, they'll struggle against him. Giants, if Tom Green is back, he'll have a field day. Suns, Took's probably still going to have a field day there. Adelaide, Jordan Dawson's going to have a field day. And then against Melbourne, Petrarca seems to perform well there. But obviously they'll give Oliver a lot of possessions there because they don't I mean, they can't really stop them too, but again, so any tall midfielder against this one seems to do really well. But we'll just have to wait and see next year if that is the case, because they could obviously draft someone or trade someone that can fill that sort of tall tagger role, but we'll have to wait and see. But for the last couple of years, Bont and Green and Cripps have torn Sydney apart. Then you've got Merritt here in 80, just got tagged by O'Connor the whole game. But, I mean, it's Merritt. He gets tagged a little bit. He probably, I don't think Western Bulldogs will tag necessarily. They might put Libba to him, but I don't think Libba will have that much of an effect, as O'Connor is basically just a defensive midfielder, whereas Libba actually has the ability to single-handedly almost win a game for the Bulldogs, him and Bond. So I think they will run Libba on Merritt, but I don't think it will be as a harder tag as the O'Connor was. And then they've got Sydney, and Sydney will put Rowbottom or Mills to him, and that will be the same sort of effect. And then you've got Eagles won't tag. North probably will, but they suck, so he'll probably put up 160 against them. Giants probably will tag, and that will be an effective, I think, tag. And then Collingwood won't bother tagging. You've got Brayshaw here, 110, just a good performance without. Was it with Sarong or without? I can't remember at this point. I think it was without Sarong. Yeah, it was. Don't know why I didn't think it was. He's got the Swans. They'll probably actually tag Sarong, not going to lie, rather than Brayshaw. But we'll have to wait and see. As I think, or they could go Mills. I think they will go Mills or Parker to Brayshaw, and they'll put Rowbottom on Sarong. And I do think that'll leave the other midfielder, whether it be O'Meara or Johnson, to absolutely go nuts. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Then he has the hard tag of probably O'Connor coming up, but then don't really see him getting tagged the rest, except for this round 24 against the Hawks, where he will get tagged by McGuinness. Petrarca, I don't think is taggable, and he also has, I think, a really good run. I think this is a really good run for him here, where he can probably kick, 6 rounds to go? I reckon he could kick 15 goals in the last 6 games here, even moving back into the midfield, etc. I don't know when Fritz is back or not, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But he's been ridiculous these last couple of weeks. Not necessarily putting up the disposals that he was in the weeks prior, but I think if he plays Crows next week, I think he could, or this week, I think he could put up a 3-goal, 25 disposal game and really just tear them apart, especially at the MCG. Crouch is a little bit low last couple games. I'm pretty sure he's gone a sub 100 twice, but he'll bounce back, I think. He just needs to get those tackles back to 7 or 8, and there's where your 110 is again. It's not really, he doesn't really struggle to get the ball. I mean, he's still having 25 disposals. He's just not tackling. And he plays North Melbourne, where he should go nuts. He has a fair good run, so I'm backing him, as well as Steele, basically in the same boat. If those two can get 6 tackles a game in these next 4 games, then that's basically a free 800 points from both of them, in terms of they'll get the disposals needed in those matchups. Johnson just sucked, to be honest. He was on 14 or whatever at halftime, or 15 at halftime, and then got 53 in the second after a Twitter rocket from me. Plays the Swans, but will not be in my side, I don't think, as him and Sheldrick will be moved to premium, as I think Darcy Cameron is actually going to be back, and I am fairly confident against Port that he can do some damage. He will be able to push Lysette around the ground, I think, and Mason Cocker can do the ruck work, where he's more damaging against Lysette, I think. Windhager will be a first-off sub, and I've tried to tinker it around a little bit I think I'll tinker around a little bit to get him potentially playing if one of my mids does shocking, but that's not, I think it will be depending on the who plays. I got to do it before the Gold Coast game, as Gold Coast is my loophole. So I'll probably do something with regards to, I don't know exactly, but I could try and get the likes of a Darcy Cameron hopefully off I believe, maybe. We'll wait and see on that one. But I think there's a way to potentially play Darcy Cameron out. And then if West Coast play late, do they play late? No. Where's Darcy Cameron? We'll wait. We'll see on that one. But I do think there's a way that I can get Darcy Cameron out, basically, and then play Windhager, etc. But I'll look through that option Thursday, Friday, etc. to look through that. But I want to be able to try and flip that around to get them playing, I guess, to get the better score out of those two, as those two are the only ones that I'm really worried about. And then obviously Noah Long, 41, that's all right for Cashton, I'm pretty sure. What did he do this week? Plus 5k, he's slowly growing, and yeah, so that's good. English, the VC, absolutely came in clutch, 60 hitouts against the Swans with no ruckman. He plays Essendon with maybe even no ruckman. I'm going to have to wait and see until teams revealed. But if they go in with, I believe that young ruckman played, if I go to Essendon and I go to Rucks, who played last round, they had Brian play for a 91, and I'm really confident here if he does play again and we see no Draper or Phillips, that we will see Tim English absolutely feast on that. So there might be a VC there, but I think Bont or Tim English will be my VC, then playing on the Friday night. We're back to Friday night fixtures. I think that's going to be the VC options this week. And then Rowan Marshall obviously just needed to find a way to loophole, and with Darcy Cameron confirmed out for the week, I was like, I am jumping on this injury, as a lot of people had Mullen and he was the sub. We didn't know at the time that Euland was going to... I didn't know completely at the time, and I wasn't 100% focused this week, so I was like, I'm just going to get a guy that I can definitely know is out injured and is not an emergency, and Darcy Cameron was the way, so I just flipped Rowan Marshall and remembered to put the emergency on him and got that loophole sorted. And yeah, Rowan Marshall 99, he got dominated in the ruck contest, so he didn't have as many hitouts as he probably usually will have, but did his work around the ground to get 19 disposals, 4 marks and 2 tackles, and a goal to get to the 99, which is fine, as it was like the 3rd best ruck score for the week, or 4th best behind Gawn. But yeah, job done basically. Then you got Taranto and Rosie with 111 each. They both did their job. I mean, you would have expected Taranto to do more against the Eagles, and I do think he's going into a quiet patch a little bit, but he does have the matchup against Hawks, so I probably won't be captaining him, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. And then you've got Rosie, who plays Collingwood in a matchup that is supposed to be absolutely huge. They played earlier in the season and you got 81. I think he's more going to go huge in this game. I don't think he's going to get tagged, and I think he's going to end up with the form he's in, he could end up with a goal and I think 22 touches, 23 touches. I think that's a marker that he'll probably hit, and I think he'll go huge, but we'll have to wait and see. And then you've got Gordon here, who's racking up the disposals more in the back half, which is probably not the best for the Swans, but he plays Freo, who I don't think will tag him at all, and I think he's going to end up with like 29 or 30 odd touches here, end up with a 120 or so. Then you got Cogs here, 105, pretty good from him. Really bad actually game until the last quarter where he went nuts. I think it was a 46 or a 41 point last. I think it was 46. And yeah, just ended up with a 10, or was it it might have been 41 actually, I think. It was one of the two, and he ended up with a 105, and that was just a ridiculous output for him in the end, just because of the 9 tackles. I think he had 2 holding the ball tackles or whatever, which contributes 16 or whatever if he gets the kick. Keys 70 was annoying. I still think the role is there. And against Melbourne, I think they will probably put him on to Petrarca, which will be interesting, as they could both limit each other. But with Petrarca going forward, that could be a little bit annoying. Or I don't think they'll put him on May, and I don't think there's really a defender to put him on. So they could put him on Viney or something like that. But I do think the role is still there for him to go big. I just don't think he had the disposals there that he was getting in the past. But I mean, that could be matchup dependent, but he still went 109 against the Lions. So I still think the role is there for him to go 95 plus, but is certainly a guy on the way out if Butters is fine. And then to finish off, we got Harry Himmelberg here, 77. Just not getting those big numbers that I thought we could get out of him. And he's certainly one on the chopping block this week. It's between him, Darcy Cameron, and Keys basically the next couple of weeks, as I've got a complete team. And I've got to get I'm getting in, I think, Laird this week, but I think next week I've got to get in Dunkley and Butters in the next couple of weeks. And then I've got to find a midfielder, which could be, I don't think it will be Tom Green, but could be. But then also got to find a way to get one of those top midfielders in. And if we look, it could be Parrish, could be Sarong. One of these guys here. If we look at L3, I think that's going to give us a better indication. Don't think Vine is an option. So Parrish, don't think McCluggage is an option with Dunkley coming back. Sarong, Neil's doing all right, but he does have Geelong this week, which will be a tag. And then the Suns, and then he comes into a good run actually, so that could be an option. But we'll be using, I think, Sheldrick and Johnson this week to go up to Laird and a rookie in, I think, Parrish, as he's going to get some good cash gen quickly. And then, obviously, you got Williams here, who's 242k at the moment, gained another 18k, and hopefully can continue gaining some more cash as he plays Carlton, and hopefully get some hit-outs there. And then Ramsden didn't play because he had a concussion, which kind of sucks. But didn't know that until basically 5-10 minutes into the game that he was actually out, as I wasn't watching the pre-game, and he was only ruled out, I'm pretty sure, on the actual Saturday that they played. Anyway, that is the video there for the round 18 team review, going through how it went. It was a positive round. Round rank of 3,100 odd is really good still at my ranking. It brought me up 400 odd ranks, and hopefully I can have another positive round with a complete team. Maybe hopefully get the best score out of that Wintager and whoever else is in that forward and midfield bunch, but we'll have to wait and see on that front, and basically go from there. So yeah, that's the review, and I'll see you guys in the, I guess, trade targets video that I'll probably record after this or something like that, but that'll be coming out sometime soon. And then you'll have my predictions and my team preview video, and then hopefully something else comes out on the channel if I get the time. Anyway, that's the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks guys, goodbye.